Hello friends, today's presentation is on crafting a new logo. I'm Judy Hills. I'm the president of the Friends of the North Carolina Public Libraries, and I'll be doing your presentation today. So what is a logo? A logo is a combination of text and imagery. It not only tells people the name of your organization, but it also creates a visual symbol that represents you. It represents your vision. It represents your mission. It's a big part of your brand identity, and that is what people see and think of you. A good logo is memorable, it differentiates you from other groups, and it helps to foster loyalty. And below you can see a number of Friends logos that I clipped off the internet. Why do Friends groups need logos? Well, a well-designed logo builds trust and gets people to stick around. It tells potential members who you are, what you do, and how they might benefit from being a part of your organization. It communicates to people that you do great work. If your logo looks unprofessional, people will make an opinion about you and your ability to deliver services, so it pays to actually have a nice looking logo. It cultivates a strong message to the public and ensures that they remember your organization and creates a positive association with your group. Logos have deep symbolic associations connecting to people's memories and emotions. So how do you create a good logo? Well, you begin by doing your homework. You want to review logos used by other friends of the library. Throughout this presentation, you'll see different websites mentioned and opportunities to click here to see examples. If you're viewing this on our YouTube channel, those links are not active, so you will need to go to our website where if you click on the PDF of the presentation, you will be able to actually use those links. Identify the elements that you like, such as the colors, the shape of the logo, the fonts that were used, or maybe even the graphics that are included in it. And decide if you will just include your name or if you also want to include a tagline. Logo needs to be clear, easy to interpret, and quickly connect with the viewer. The keep it simple, sweetheart principle. Elements of a great logo include great typography. And typography is the art of arranging a message in a readable and aesthetically pleasing composition. So basically it's composition. Simple colors and a strong visual element. So what are some typography terms? And the reason we bring this up is because if you're working with a designer, you need to be able to communicate clearly your ideas to them, and being able to speak the language of the designer will help you more clearly get what you want from the designer. The first term is style. That's the shape and the look of the letters. There are three major types of styles: serif, cursive, and gossip / black letter. Typeface is the visual design of the letter forms from super thin to ultra black to condensed to wide, and they are available in regular and italic fonts. If you actually go in your computer and look at your different fonts, many programs will show you how they actually look. So do take a look at those. Some fonts have uppercase, some fonts have small caps, and others have a combination of upper and lowercase. You need to take a look at that font to see what features it has. Then there are variations such as the drop cap. You've seen this where you have a large capital letter that's inserted at, say, the beginning of a paragraph, and that's used for emphasis. Topographic illusions might include rotations, flipping, overlayer, and others. Alignments, you're very familiar with that from using Word documents. Flush left, flush right, centered, and justified. And you can click on the link at the bottom to read and see more examples if you're viewing this as a PDF. Colors, you want to choose them wisely because they create emotions and give meaning. It improves brand recognition, in other words, the recognition of your logo and your group by up to 80%. It tells a story, it communicates value. You want to stick to a palette of 3 or fewer main colors, and the preference is to use solid colors rather than gradients. You want to reproduce your colors accurately, and there's some technical terms for that which are shown here. Visual elements add interest and make your logo memorable, but it has to grab the attention of the viewer for at least 10 seconds so they can memorize it and form an opinion about it, and then they would recognize it in the future. It's best if the artwork is original and not clip art, as clip art may be copyrighted and they maybe tend to be overused. So here's a couple of examples of elements. Vector versus raster graphics. A vector graphic, the logo should always be designed in vector format so it can be scaled, meaning that you can enlarge it without it becoming fuzzy. Raster Graphic, Photoshop is an example of a raster-based program. If your logo is created in this program, it will cause issues in the future. Note the stair-step edges of the letter G in the following. The vector graphic is on the left, there's no stair-stepping. The raster graphic is on the right, there's stair-stepping. And you've seen that, I'm sure, in things you've copied and tried to enlarge. The background is important. A clear, transparent background will look good on most color backgrounds, and there's an example on the left of a friends group that has a transparent background. And the white background has uses, and especially if you're using it on white paper or with a white background. If it's used on anything else, as you can see in the example on the right, the background will be white. There's many different logo file formats, and this is something that the designer is going to want to know from you at the outset, is what file formats do you want the logo for her to, or him or her to produce the logo in. AI is an Adobe Illustrator. It's a program. It can't be opened unless you have the AI software. So while they might produce it and provide it to you in the AI format, you're not going to be able to open it, but you can forward it on to your, let's say, somebody doing some t-shirts for you. They might want your logo in an AI format. EPS is encapsulated PostScript. It's the gold standard for logo files. It's a vector-based image, and when exported from AI, it's meant for print usage. So it has to be created in AI in order to produce the EPS file format. PDF you're familiar with, portable document format, may or may not be a vector file. The quality will vary. SGV is scalable vector graphic, vector-based image meant for web usage. It's ideal for logos. It's sharper or crisper than PNG or JPEG. PNG is portable network graphics, raster-based, intended for web usage. These are pixel-based and cannot be scaled up without pixelation. JPEG you're familiar with also because that's what most photographs are in, the JPEG format. It's raster-based, meant for web or print usage. And when you send your logo to a printer or design professional, always send them AI or EPS unless they've asked for it in another format. I was working recently with a web designer. He requested that the logo be sent in PNG. That was what he wanted for the website. So work with your whoever's requesting it so that you can give them the file format that they want. So we're going to go through a little exercise here of creating an example. By creating one before you approach the designer, you're going to save time and money because you're going to provide the designer with some ideas. If you just leave it wide open, it's going to be harder for the designer to figure out what's important to you. So you're going to save time and money if you'll create some kind of an example. It doesn't have to be good. It just has to be a starting point. The designer can then take your example and modify it. So find some examples online that you like, copy and paste them into a document. A Word document is fine, or you could use one of the other programs, and then study them. What are the elements that you like? Maybe you can just kind of snip that out using the Google snipping tool and paste those snipped items onto a separate document. And then you can begin combining the elements and any desired words that you want to your little example just to get things going. So here's some example of clip arts I found online that friends of the library either used or might use. As you can see, they vary pretty widely. And here's an example of some friends' logos that you may want to snip pieces of if you like it. Here's some more examples. As you can see, they vary wildly from, more graphic to more use of designer created fonts like the Friends up in the upper right hand corner. If you have a lot of money and you don't mind paying a designer to create a logo for you from scratch, this is an example of the choices that he or she might produce for your consideration. Here, the Friends of the New Buffalo Library must have approached a designer, and the designer created 4 distinctive choices for this group to pick from. So then you have to look at each of them individually and say, what is it that appeals to you in this particular thing? Or maybe none of them do, but the designer will give these, and you might say, well, hey, I like the wave format, but I also like the font of the one on the left with the roof of a building. I kind of like that. Maybe you can combine those two. So you need to give the designer some direction. It's your logo, not theirs. So let's take the FONCPL logo as examples because we just redid ours, and I'm going to walk you through that process. Here's what we've had in the past that we have used. As you can see, they're varying qualities. Some of them are really fuzzy. The 2 on the left are fuzzy. They have white backgrounds you can barely see on this example because this background has a little bit of a yellow cast to it, so you can see they were on white. We didn't have any that were in with clear backgrounds or transparent backgrounds, so we really had to do something with our new logo. So we went around on the internet, and the different members found some different logos and elements that they liked. These were some of the elements that were considered. As you can see, the maybe overused people up there at the top. Some liked the outline of the people in that example. You may recognize the Friends from the TV show Friends. That was their show logo. So these are some of the ones that we were considering. So we began by snipping and combining some of these elements with words, and these were some examples that we were considering at the time. These are things that we created using a publisher program. So you can see the different iterations that we looked at and we worked with. So we're starting to get there. So the board is now discussing what is it that we really wanted to see in the logo. Well, we wanted a book because we still think that's representative of libraries and our groups. We wanted people because that's who we represent. We wanted our name, and we did want a tagline in there that was representative of who we served. We excluded the overused people and hands graphics. We wanted an oblong logo Not too wide, that would be on the short side, so it wouldn't be short and fat. We like the one below, but changes were needed. We wanted to flip the graphic vertically so the people were climbing into instead of out of the frame. We wanted to match the colors of the books and the people to the colors in the dots between the letters in the word friends. We wanted to remove the word "the" from our name because that's not part of our corporate name. And we wanted to change connecting to supporting. So we're almost there. So we sent it to the designer at this point and said, hey, see what you can do with this. So this is what we got back from the designer. It's getting there, but there's a couple little things that were bothering me personally. We requested that she straighten out the line of the yellow book. If you noticed on the left side of the book, it kind of drops down, doesn't quite match with the others. The line of the white figure, the arm is a little bit fatter than some of the others, and it's not, you can't clearly see that it's touching the blue person that's on top of the yellow book. So those are some of the changes that we wanted made. So here's the final design. The cost was less than $100 because of all the work that we did. We received the logo in various file formats. And on a side note, the Friends part of the logo, again, as I mentioned, is the title logo from the TV series Friends. This logo image consists only of a simple graphic, geometric shapes, and text. So it doesn't meet the threshold of originality needed for copyright protection. So we had no problem with being able to use that legally in our logo. So does the new FONCPL logo meet the test of a good logo? Of course, this is our own opinion, and you're welcome to yours. But is it great typography? We say yes. The fonts are clear, the name stands out, the tagline is short and pithy and represents our mission. The use of the Friends logo conjures up a warm, fuzzy feeling. And if you remember from slide 4, we talked about the symbolic connections of memories and emotions. So this conjures up a friendly, fuzzy feeling. Are the colors simple? Yes, we use 3 strong, bright colors, red, yellow, and blue. The colors of the books and figures consistent with the colored dots between the letters of the word friend. So there's a little repetition there. And are there strong visual elements? Yes, the books represent the libraries. The stick figures represent the friends, giving friends a hand up. And the figures are climbing toward the word friends, meaning they're aligning themselves with the group. And this is, of course, our interpretation of that logo, and we hope that you'll see that in it as well. So we gave ourselves an overall grade of 5 stars, and we think we did a good job, and we're very happy with our logo, new logo. So our final thoughts. If you have a lot of money and you can pay a designer to create your logo, but you're still going to have to provide input. So it's important that you understand the terms and that you're able to communicate clearly what you want. You need to know the language of the designer to communicate clearly the outcomes you desire and the file formats that you want. You can do the basic design yourself and let the designer clean it up for you for a lot less money. And you certainly want to end up with a logo that you can be proud of. That is the bottom line, regardless of how you accomplish it. So I leave you with this paraphrase quote from Milton Glaser. There are 3 responses to a logo: yes, no, and wow. You want to aim for wow. We really hope today that you will think about your logo, take a look at it, compare it to others. Maybe it's just time for a refresh of your existing logo, or maybe it's time you create one for yourself. Anyway, we hope that this presentation inspired you to take action, and we wish you the best of luck with your new logo.